Hello everyone, this is the screencast for the analysis component present in milestone 2 of the project. This is the Ansible playbook that we have which has been configured to set up the build job for building checkbox IO and then running the analysis component. We have created a server on AWS, as you can see, and we are now going to deploy the playbook onto that server. So I'm going to run the playbook. While the playbook is run and all the dependencies for checkbox IO being installed, we'll go through the playbook that we have developed. Uh, in this playbook, we download and install Jenkins onto the server, and along with doing that, what we do is we download the Jenkins CLI so that we can create a build job through an Ansible playbook, and then we install the plugin text finder, which we are going to use in order to determine whether the conditions that we need have been satisfied or not, and whether the build should fail or run. And along with running at the end of this playbook, the next playbook, that is the checkbox setup playbook, will be run. This can be done using the include command in the playbook. Now we go to this checkbox setup playbook. In this playbook, we can see that we have done the basic setup which is required to set up the dependencies for checkbox IO. We install Nginx and Node.js, as you can see in this part, and then we install the MongoDB server. Along with doing that, we are cloning the checkbox IO repository, and also we are cloning this analysis component that we are going to use, which is going to be analyzing all the server-side code. And at the end of this, we create a build job for checkbox IO using the Jenkins CLI. Now we'll go through the XML file for the checkbox for the build job. This XML file tells us all the things that the build job would do. It is first going to run npm install, that is see if there is a run npm install for checkbox IO, and after that we are going to run our analysis file, that is analysis.js. This is the file which goes through the server side code and tells you whether or not the build should fail. Now let's go through this analysis component. This is the analysis.js main file which we use for the analysis component. What we are trying to figure out over here are using the complexity function, we are checking whether or not the complexity or the bigger complexity of a function is greater than 3, and what is the maximum number of conditions within an if statement, and the number of lines. So using the location start line and end line, we can figure out the number of lines that are there in a function. This metric can be found from this line. Then once we get into an if statement, we count the maximum number of conditions in this part to check whether it's a logical expression, and that is how we find the max conditions in an if statement. Similarly, when we come across a for or while statement, we look for its within its children whether there are more for or while statements to find the nesting. So using this analysis component, we are going to check whether or not we should build whether the build should fail. As we see in this builder, we check whether these conditions are satisfied. If even any one of these conditions is satisfied, the build is going to fail. Now as we can see, the playbook is still running. It will take some amount of time before it can finish setting up whatever we require. Now it's loading the analysis component. This is the part of the playbook where the Node.js application is being run. Now we're going to create a job using the Jenkins CLI for building checkbox IO, and then we are going to run the build through the Ansible file, as you can see over here. We run checkbox IO, that is we build the job to see whether or not there is an error. Now the Ansible file is finished, completed. Now let's take a look at the dashboard. Now as we can see the Jenkins dashboard and a build for checkbox IO which has failed. Now we can take a look at what was the reason for the failure. Now by looking at the console output, we can see the file in which the error occurred. It is markdown.js file, and the condition that was satisfied was that the number of lines in a function is greater than 100, that is 232, and hence the text finder plugin has marked the build as failed. We can also see that the checkbox IO application is running right here. So this was a screencast for the analysis component. Thank you.